Maybe not.
For some reason, there's a delay.
Yep.
Ah, here we go.
Mhm.
Hey, Steve. Hey, everybody. Steve, I have a question for you. When have you ever known me to not skip a cup of coffee in the morning? I mean, from based on what we talk about. Do I
Mm,
usually skip coffee? Do I usually have it?
no, well, in the time that I've known you, you usually have it. The only time you wouldn't have it is if you're not doing so hot, not so great.
That's
So,
it. You know, you really don't feel well when Jen skips coffee. Hi, everybody. I want to thank you all for your kind wishes and concern. I don't know what it was. Maybe it could have been an allergy thing or whatever. It just felt absolutely horrible. It's
could
like a
be.
one day didn't feel good kind of thing. I want to thank everybody for your well wishes, but I'm feeling better. I still didn't have a cup of coffee again, though. What I will do is probably make one later to avoid a withdrawal, coffee
Mm,
withdrawal feeling.
hmm.
But
Yep.
anyway, thanks for being here. Steve, thanks for being here. We got a lot to
Yeah.
talk about today.
Mhm.
We are in the middle of the summer, everyone, and activities outside could run you some money. Steve and I are trying to focus on low cost or zero cost activities. And we're going to jump in. I know Steve has one that we'd like to get into. Which one would that be?
Well, what I have here is it never hurts to check out local community boards for free outdoor concerts or plays. Um, that can be pretty exciting, you know.
I've done it. I could tell you a situation, Steve. Years ago, this was really weird. I was going to a strip mall and there was a supermarket that I usually would frequent. This was back in Queens, New York, about 20 years back. And I see them setting up a stage. Who was there? An old school artist, Randy and the Rainbows. And they did Denise Denise. They sang Denise Denise and all those
Oh
famous
yeah.
free.
Oh, oh,
Absolutely.
Dunny.
Yes.
Are we on the same page? Oh, Dunny, Sloopy Doo, I'm in love with
You
you.
do. That's the
Oh,
one.
okay, okay, okay. Just wanted to make sure. Okay.
Whoever thought that, a supermarket trip would result in a free summer concert? But that's what happened. And sometimes they're pop ups, you don't know about them till the last second. And many times they put them on community boards, like randomly all over the place. You just have to look. Especially at this time of year, outdoor concerts are wonderful. I'm
Hmm.
glad you mentioned that. A lot of fun, really. And in my case, I'm going to suggest either taking a $5 bill or a $10 bill, but this time it's to spend it not on a need. Normally, I emphasize need, need, need. This time, I'm suggesting taking a little bit of money, but a cap on the money. Like I said, a $5 bill or $10 bill, and heading over to the $1.25 store and getting yourself anything you want. Once in a while, it is totally okay to just get yourself something that you want. It might be
Sure.
that right? It might be that bag of cookies or that little frou cologne or whatever it is. Do that. It's okay to balance things out that way. The trick, though, Steve, is to cap off the money, not just go in there and just go here, there, and everywhere. That's where the problem could
Oh
be.
no. Mm-mm. Yeah.
But that's a fun activity too.
Hmm. Yeah. It, I mean, I myself, I've never actually been to an outdoor concert or play, as sad as it may sound, but I've actually never been. But I'm hoping, one day in my life, I would like to do that. I'd like to go to at least one, because I do like music, and of course it would have to be somebody that, that I know and like, but um,
About
that,
10 years ago, the Beach Boys were playing in Central Park here in New York City. I was invited to go with a friend, but the thought of it was a madhouse. Going into Central Park
yeah,
too, they have beautiful free concerts sometimes, but the Beach Boys, oh my gosh, it was just way too much. But
hmm,
anyway,
that would have been good.
so Steve, what's your next one?
My next one that I have here, check out the local library in your area. They may have some events for kids activities as well. This not just focusing on us adults, but you know, what about the kids? The kids, they may have something in lined up for them, that they could do to keep them busy. So I would highly suggest checking out the libraries. Sometimes, I mean, I've
Excuse
done
me.
it in the past. I've done it in the past, but sometimes a local library bulletin board or community board, whatever you want to call it, uh, has had some fun activities, even though it was geared for kids. There were a couple, even the way I liked the way they sounded. I would have went, even though I'm not a kid, but
Absolutely.
still.
Absolutely. Sometimes that puppet shows, reading a book, like just somebody sitting
Yeah.
down and reading a book to the kids, you know?
Hmm.
Sometimes, a lot of times actually, parents, loved ones don't make the time or don't have the time to do that like simple thing. I remember one of my favorite memories growing up was when my mom used to read those little golden books to us when we were little kids.
Hmm.
And I treasure those memories. But libraries are a very great resource for so many reasons. So many reasons. That's a good one, Steve. I like that.
Yeah, me too.
Here's the next one. Beat the heat and schedule a video chat with an out of town friend or a family member. That is true. Lots of times, Steve, we're so busy doing this, that, and everything else during the week that maybe we'll have a little bit of time on a weekend, hopefully. Squeeze in a chat with someone, a half hour, an
Yeah.
hour. You're in your
Hmm.
right, you're in your air conditioning. Doesn't cost you anything extra. Sit down, the two of you could whatever could catch up and just extend that time, spending time with loved ones, whether it's on video chat or in person. In person is always the best, but it's not always feasible. People
Yeah.
live across the country or even not even in the country, but people, want to get together. Take that time on a hot day. It's a low cost fun activity and reach out to friends or family members. What do you think of
I
that?
I myself prefer a video chat over messaging or an email because one, when you're doing a video chat, it's in real time. You're not in the same room. It's although it feels like it sometimes, but it is a one-on-one. Because if you do a message or an email and transferring, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, things can get lost in translation easy, miscommunications. Whereas if you're on video chat, you're getting it all out at once, and it's like having a regular one-on-one conversation, and you're less apt to have any miscommunication lost in translation. That's what I like about it.
100% agree. It really is. It's a free activity.
Hmm. It is.
And what do you have next?
Well, the next one I've got, you can always keep cool at home and you can experiment with a fun recipe like two ingredient fudge, for example, or whatever recipe you may have in mind. It may not necessarily be fudge, but it could be something simple, especially when you have small kids, to get them involved in something.
Yes.
Because right, yeah, because you don't want to have something that the recipe is this long, and then that would confuse them. But if you have two or three ingredients and put something together, and they're getting involved in it, of course they're going to say, "Mom, Dad, this was fun. Can we do it again?" But if you give them that, five, six, seven, eight, things that go into something, that can throw them off. But I definitely highly agree that experimenting with little foods that are low ingredient.
I'm glad you mentioned that. A number of reasons. Money is tight, groceries are expensive. You could still do the activity. And I'm going to include in this video another video about how to make two ingredient fudge. Literally, two
Oh,
ingredients. It's
okay.
just like, for example, peanut butter fudge, for example. That would require peanut butter and I believe it's vanilla frosting. That canned frosting? And
Hmm.
there's a method to do it, and you got yourself the fudge. Two
Oh,
ingredients. Many people have these things existing in their pantries already. So that's a fun little fun
I
activity.
never thought to include the vanilla, but I see where that would work. My mind keeps thinking, because my mind keeps going the Reese's peanut butter cup direction. My mind keeps thinking anytime it's peanut butter, usually you combine it with chocolate. But
Well, that's so that the peanut butter is the predominant taste. However, one could swap it out and get canned chocolate frosting.
oh, so you can actually go either way. Yeah.
Have
Okay.
that effect. Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
All right, who's next? You, or me?
Um, well, I have another good tip, and and how it goes is like this. Going to the movie. Now, keep in mind, I haven't been to the movies in a very long time. The last thing I went and saw was the Star Wars movie. In fact, it was the last one that Carrie Fisher did, next to the last one that's out now. And Han Solo dies in it. That was the last one I went and saw, but I didn't really pay any mind to how much the ticket was because my oldest nephew happened to be with me at the time. He had come down for my father's services at the time, and we had gone to the movie and we saw that. But one that I do have a strong memory recollection of, me, my dad, my youngest nephew. This has been a while now when the first Despicable Me came out. I know they're on number 4 now. It was me, my dad, my nephew. There was a popcorn and a drink involved. And you had to have the 3D glasses in order to watch the movie. They said, well, you have to have the glasses. I tried to get out of it. They said, well, you have to have them. Okay, I'll get the glasses. And back then, total, it was $50. I don't know what it costs now, but I did go and look up um, tickets for an adult. I guess it would be after 4 p.m. It's 10.78 a person now. But if you go before 4 o'clock or bought no later than 4, you can go and see the matinee showing where you can get anywhere from 20 to 25% off. And in doing a little light reading, this tells you how up I am about movies because I really don't go. If you go on a Tuesday, you get a discounted rate. How much? I don't know. But I know that they say the best day of the week to go is on a Tuesday where you get the best deal. So would I ever go back to a movie again? Yeah, maybe. But why do that? If you have a nice television in your home, you've got different streaming apps you can go to that you can download, a bunch of stuff for free. I know a few
Yes,
where you can go and get movies. And you can and the movies you're going to look up might be 4, 5, 6 months old still this year.
amazing.
And what is nice is if you have to step away, maybe a restroom break, go grab something in the kitchen, take a phone call, something, you know, the
Yeah,
doorbell ring, anything is possible. You can pause where you're at, go do that, come back, and take it off pause. If you're at the theater or even at a drive-in, I used to love the drive-ins, but still, if you get up and leave, then you got to walk to the bathroom, come back, you might have lost 10 minutes. And you can't go back and rewatch the parts you missed.
no, that's true.
Right. So the only time you'll be able to see that part again is if that same movie, months or a year down the road, comes up on regular TV. Hopefully, it's the unedited version. Then you'll get the opportunity to see the part that you missed.
Right. Not
So,
to mention, if you go to an actual theater for the movie, suppose you're like you into it in about 15 minutes, you're like, ew, I really don't like this movie. And you're like thinking, oh, I have to sit here another hour. And then you think, oh, I wasted all that money. Well, when you're at home watching a movie, if you're not that into it, just flip it, just change it.
yeah. Um, I it wasn't just me. It was also my dad. And I have nothing bad to say about the movies. This particular one where me and my dad, we did get up and walk out of the movie. We the movie was 3 hours and 15 minutes long,
Oh, wow.
and my whole family went, and in-laws, you name it. Well, it was Lord of the Rings. I believe it was the
Oh,
Two Towers. It's been a while. This was back in probably 2001. I know it was in the early 2000s. And then I find out this movie is 3 hours and 15 minutes long. I I'm not saying I can't watch a 3 hour movie.
that's
But
too long. I'm
it
sorry.
is, but I tend to get restless. I would say an hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes, I'm good. But this movie just did not strike the right chords with me for those that like those type of movies,
You and
you
a
know.
lot of people. You're not the only one. A few people came up to me and said they didn't really like it.
Well, right. If you like that type of movie, that's great. I'm happy, but that movie just did not grab me or my dad. We walked out of it.
No.
We and we didn't want to hurt anybody else's feelings that was with us. So
Right.
later we were approached, "Hey, what happened? You left the movie. Was there anything wrong?" So we had to, kind of, I don't like to lie, but we kind of said we had something come up and we had to leave.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah,
Fully understand.
but the movie, even though it was 3 hours and 15 minutes, we were there about an hour. It just wasn't.
And talk about expensive. How about the concession stands? All right, 1078 to get in, right? That's its own show, isn't it?
That's for an adult. I don't even know what it would cost for a child. Maybe a few dollars less, but still.
Isn't the average popcorn about $7?
In this day and age, it would not surprise me. If you think back, I have to jump in here. If you think back, what, about a couple months ago, maybe, I did a video about, is
Yeah.
it really worth going to the concession stand? You know, I myself, I've learned a little trick about going to the movie. Eat a very good meal before you go to the movie. Then that keeps you away from the concession stand altogether. Then all you're paying is your ticket price.
That's a good way to cut back because the prices from we know the vendors need to make money. People need to earn a
Right.
living. I get that. But
Yeah.
going to the movies could be very expensive. You bring up a good point. Today we have very, very large screens. We have streaming apps that show so many options. So
That's
yeah,
right.
I mean, this keeps the cost down
Yes, it
for
does.
sure.
Hmm.
Very good, Steve. So here's another one. It's actually the final one on my end.
Hmm.
Go to the zoo. Go to the zoo.
Oh, wow.
You don't have to be a kid. You can be a grown up. Go to the zoo and say hello to the animals, and you are never too old or too young to connect with nature.
It's funny that you bring up going to the zoo now. I have a local zoo here, but the last time I went was maybe when I was a preteen, but I'm far beyond that now. But you know what? It's funny. My brother-in-law, and his wisdom, I have to put that out there because sometimes it's like that. He happened to mention you need to go to the zoo. He happened to just mention it out of the blue. But he also said that a lot has changed at the zoo since I went. Now, remember, when I went being a preteen, that was probably back in the 80s.
Right.
So I would be willing to go to the zoo, maybe on a day that it's maybe a little overcast,
Yeah.
because of my face.
No, I understand. Yes.
So I have to pick certain days to do something and certain times of the day that suits me.
And there are some indoor features of some zoos. Like not all of them are always outside. You could go like to indoor sections too sometimes,
Hmm.
which would be
Hmm.
helpful. But for anyone, to reconnect with nature, especially as a New Yorker, it's kind of hard to connect with nature when you live in a concrete jungle. That's one of the reasons why I love Central Park. It has a little bit of everything,
Mm.
a little
Yes,
bit
it
of
does.
nature, right? A little bit of nature, a beautiful zoo. I did a video showing the zoo and a lot of the animals. Just anywhere you live, if you could connect to your local zoo, I think it's a good thing. You don't have to have your grandkids with you if they're not with you. If you just want to
No.
go yourself, you could go yourself. So there.
Well, when I visited New York, the one time that I went into New York about back in 2008, my dad and I were about to leave to head back this way. Hey, my brother-in-law again. Hey, why don't you hang around another day or so? We'll go into the city, go to New York. We'll do that. So we did that. Ate at a great place. We walked around, went and saw Battery Park, went to Central Park. I didn't do all of Central Park, but what I did see of it, I really
Yeah.
enjoyed it. It was really nice.
Yeah, it's real. I'm so glad. It really, really is. Well, Steve and I just outlined a whole bunch of really low cost things to do in middle of the summer because then
Yeah.
before you know it, summer is really going quickly. I can't believe just a couple weeks from now is August. And Steve, how many times have you heard me say once August comes, it just starts sliding down a slope?
Right. And then, well, do keep in mind, as all of you know, or those that are new that don't, my birthday's on Halloween. So you're in about the next couple of weeks, first week of August, you're going to start seeing Halloween stuff pop out.
It's crazy. In August, you're looking at little pumpkins and stuff, huh?
Right. So if you get the urge for, I liked them when I was a kid. Now they're too sweet. But if you get the urge for a bag of candy corn, you can have it, pretty much now or coming up instead of
Wow.
having to wait until, down, in October, September, closer to Halloween. But
That's funny you said that about candy corn. When I was a kid, I liked candy corn. As an adult, it's too sweet.
yeah,
You're right.
now the only one I might eat today is one called Indian corn, which has the black top on it. It's got
Oh
the
yeah.
black, right?
Oh, I have
Yeah,
to try that.
instead of the yellow, orange, white, it's like a brown, orange, and white. It's a little bit of a different taste, but it's pretty good. Um, so if you
Sounds
get so if you get the urge for Halloween candy, just give it a couple of 3 weeks and you'll have it.
there you go. I know, but at least right now we're still in midsummer, so let's all enjoy it as much as we can. Don't
Yeah.
have to spend a lot of money to do it. I want to mention something that July 22nd will be, I know, I can't believe it, my 6th anniversary on YouTube. I can't. I can't.
No.
Steve and I will be recording probably a trivia game show for that date, and we'll upload it on that date. So head on over to the channel then. And thank you for your well wishes. Steve, thank you so much for being here. Everyone, thank you
You're
so much
welcome.
for being here.
Mhm.
Both of us really do appreciate everyone's time in every way. Your channel support is always greatly, greatly welcome. Take good care, everybody. Thanks again, Steve.
You're welcome. Bye.
Bye bye. Now, hopefully, it'll cut off properly. If it doesn't, then just click off.